Everyone, in this video we are going to study the surface anatomy of the head. Surface anatomy is important to understand because when we see people like patients or other clinical cases, we don't peep into their bones or muscles. We have to see and palpate the surface, that is skin surface, in order to get the idea of the internal structures. See, head is divided into many parts and each part is given a specific name on the basis of structures associated with that part. And in this video, we are going to study them in detail. Okay, now let's start. I may not be very excellent in drawing, but I think in these diagrams, the structures represented are clear. Now we'll study different region one by one. First is the frontal, frontal region. Frontal region is the region which is superior to the eyes and below the hairline. In this person, the hair starts from here. So the area between this hairline and the eye is called frontal region, like this, which is superior to the eye and below inferior to the hairline is the frontal region. So what are the structures we can see in this region? First is the eyebrow. This eyebrow, hairy ridge. This eyebrow is the hairy ridge. This eyebrow is eyebrow, and the structures we can see in this is the superciliary arch. What is superciliary arch? See, superciliary arch is the elevation on the frontal bone which is above the upper margin of the orbit. And what is the upper margin? See, this is the orbital structure, orbit structure. And what is orbit? Orbit is the cavity, the socket in which eyeballs are present and this other muscles or structures associated with the eyes are present. So this superior border, this is called supraorbital margin. This is called supraorbital margin. And the elevated area, here you will feel the elevation. Here you can feel the elevation which is superior to this supraorbital margin, and that is called superciliary arch. So when you touch the eyebrow, you are actually feeling the superciliary arch, and eyebrow is above that superciliary arch, and below this eyebrow you can feel the margin, that is supraorbital margin. This below this eyebrow is above the superciliary arch. This eyebrow is actually above the superciliary arch. And one more structure is present, which is glabella. Glabella is a smooth elevated area between eyebrows and it is mostly the non-hairy part, but it can be hairy also. It is the glabella we can see here between the eyebrow. Here in the center region, here it is a glabella. It is a smooth elevated area between the eyebrows. Okay, and when you feel this glabella, actually that pineal gland lies 7 centimeter behind the glabella, that is inside the glabella. That is, when you touch here this glabella part, pineal gland is somewhere here, which is 7 centimeter inside this glabella. See, let here be glabella, because when you this is the glabella part over the skin, this is the glabella part, and when you touch here glabella, actually the pineal gland is situated 7 centimeter inside the glabella. This is the frontal region. So frontal region, I think you understood well. Let's sum it up. Frontal region, which is area superior to eyes and it is below the hairline. External features, structures which are present are eyebrows here and supraorbital margin, this supraorbital margin, and the elevated area above this supraorbital margin is the superciliary arch. And the other structure which we see in the frontal region is the glabella. Glabella is the smooth elevated area between the eyebrows. Glabella is the smooth elevated area between the eyebrows, and it is mostly non-hairy, but in some cases it can be hairy. And pineal gland is situated or lies 7 centimeter behind, that is inside the glabella. Now one more structure which we see here is the frontal eminence. Eminence means something which is protruding slightly. See, this frontal eminence is here. This is the frontal eminence. You can mark in your diagram. And this frontal eminence is associated with the frontal eminence of the frontal bone. Here you can feel the frontal eminence in this part, that something is elevated. It's not properly flat or properly curved. There is slight elevation in this part. This is called frontal eminence. Now we will study the parietal region. You can copy whatever diagrams you want to name. You can name it. Then we will start the parietal region. I will mark the region also, so that it will be easy for me to explain you. This is the orbital region, and behind this orbital region we have temporal region, this is the parietal region, and behind this parietal region and the temporal region is occipital region. This is the auricular region, and here, since we have zygomatic bone here, this is called zygomatic region, and since this is the orbit, so this region is called infraorbital region. The oral region, yes, this is the buccal region, and this is the mental region. See, these are different regions which are present in our head. Now we will see the parietal region. This is the parietal region. This is the parietal region, which is limited anteriorly by the hairline and posteriorly by the coronal plane, and this coronal plane lies behind the parietal eminence. One eminence we read about, that was frontal eminence, and the second is parietal eminence, which is present near about here. And this coronal plane is just behind the parietal eminence, like this, like this. So this is the region of, this region is known as parietal region. Externally it is demarcated between, or it is present between this hairline and the coronal plane. Coronal plane, which is this type, like this plane, coronal plane, which is behind the parietal eminence. Parietal eminence is present somewhere here, when you can, even you can touch your head and feel the parietal eminence. Okay, this is known as parietal region. And this parietal eminence is felt 2 inches, this here 2 inches above the auricles. Parietal eminence is felt 2 inches above the auricles. After that, we have another region called occipital region. Occipital region, it is behind the parietal eminence. It is behind the parietal eminence. It is behind the parietal eminence, and it is above the, protuberance, occipital protuberance and superior nuchal lines. It is above the, see here you can feel the occipital protuberance, and when you see the norma occipitalis, that is skull from the back, you will find the structure like this. When you see the skull from the back, so here you have occipital protuberance, which is protruded area on the back side of the skull, and this line on the skull is called superior nuchal line, and the area which is above this area externally is known as occipital region. So occipital region is surrounded by, or the area which is behind the parietal eminence. Here you will have the parietal eminence, and above the occipital protuberance and the superior nuchal line. These are superior nuchal lines. These are superior nuchal lines. Here you will have a protuberance called occipital protuberance. occipital protuberance can be felt in the median line just above the nuchal furrow. See here, this protuberance can be felt when you touch with your finger. It can be felt in the median line just above the nuchal furrow. So this is the occipital area which is behind the parietal eminence and above the occipital protuberance. Please don't confuse these area or the lining of the area with the sutures. Please don't confuse. Sutures are different, are the internal structure. These areas are demarcated externally on the basis of whatever structure we feel or palpate over the skin surface. So we studied about the frontal area, parietal area and the occipital area. After this, we will study about the temporal region. This region is called the temporal region, and temporal region, it is the area between the temporal line and zygomatic arch. See, this is the zygomatic region and this is the zygomatic arch, and the area between this temporal line and the zygomatic arch is known as temporal area. See, what is first, now we will understand what is temporal line. Temporal line, it is the skin over the suture of the temporal and the parietal bone, that is here. And when the teeth are clenched repeatedly, temporalis muscles can be palpated. See, when you put your fingers here in the temporalis region, that is here, and clench your teeth continuously, you can palpate the temporalis muscles. In this region, that is inside the scalp, 4 bones actually meet. 4 bones actually meet in this region. You can see in this diagram. First is parietal bone, then is temporal bone, sphenoid and the frontal bone. 4 bones meet. This is the region of temporalis. This is the region of temporalis where 4 bones meet, and that is called pterion. That is called pterion, and the 4 bones which meet in the temporal region at the pterion are temporal bone, parietal bone, frontal bone and sphenoid bone. And why this is important, this pterion is important? It is the site to entrance to cranial cavity in craniotomy. And why craniotomy is done? Craniotomy is done in order to remove extradural hematoma. Extradural, we will study about the extradural hematoma later. But this is the pterion region from where we enter inside the cranial cavity by the process called craniotomy. So we studied about frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal region, and behind and below this, inferior to this, we have zygomatic region. Zygomatic region, and since this is the orbital region, so inferior to this orbital region we have infraorbital region. We have infraorbital infraorbital region. This is oral region, and behind this oral region, that is posterior to this, we have buccal region. And since parotid is present inside the skin of this part, this is known as parotid region. This region is called parotid region. And since mental foramen is present here in this region, you can see it here, this mental foramen is present in this region. So this region is called mental region. We have frontal region, parietal region, occipital region, temporal region, zygomatic region, infraorbital region, oral region, buccal region, parotid region and mental region. We have one more region called auricular region. It includes the fleshy oval flap of the ear and external acoustic meatus. This is the fleshy oval flap of the ear and external acoustic meatus. This external acoustic meatus corresponds to this part over which zygomatic arch is present. Here we have external ear. So when you look carefully at the ear, you see different parts are present in the ear. One is helix. This part is called helix. This is the lobe. This is helix, this is lobe, and we have antihelix. And one more triangular part which is present here is known as tragus. See, this one is the tragus. This is external acoustic meatus. This part is known as helix, and this inside the helix we have antihelix. We have antihelix. This is helix. This is the tragus. This is lobe. Antihelix. Okay. And after this year, we will study about this orbital region. In orbital region, we have this eyes. Orbital region comprises the eyes. The outer corner where upper and lower eyelid meet is called the lateral canthus. Here, where the upper and lower eyelid meet, where, see, let this be a nose, and this is the eye. Here also, this side also, eye. This and this, the outer corner of the eye, this is the outer corner, this is the inner corner. The outer corner of the eye where both the upper and the lower eyelid meet is called lateral canthus, while the inner one, this inner corner where upper and lower eyelids meet is called medial canthus. So we have two medial canthus and two lateral canthus. And one more structure is present when you palpate the upper border of this orbit, upper border, that is supraorbital margin. You will feel the notch, that is supraorbital notch is present. See, notch, this actually supraorbital notch is present in this frontal bone here, about 2.5 centimeter away from midpoint, like this. From midline about 2.5 centimeter, we have notch in the supraorbital margin. This is called supraorbital notch, and this you can feel or palpate over your eyes, that is in the orbit region. This is called supraorbital notch, which can be felt over the skin. After that, we completed this orbital region, auricular region. Then we have nasal region. The main feature is external nose in this nasal region. This is the nasal region. This comprises the nasal region, and most important feature is the external nose, which is inferior to glabella. Here there must be glabella between the eyes. This is a glabella, and this nose is inferior to glabella, and there is a well marked depression at the root of the nose, that is called nasion. See, when you put the finger here, let me show you from this side. When you put the finger here, this is the deepest part. Depression. This is a well marked depression at the root of the nose, and this is called nasion. And there is a firm bony portion. See, this portion, this is the firm bony portion. This portion is present here. This is the firm bony portion. Below the nasion is the bridge of the nose. This actually comprises the bridge of the nose. This comprises the bridge of the nose, which is present here. And nose below this level has pliable cartilage framework, and below this level we have this, like this structure is present. This is made up of pliable cartilage. This, the thing which I shown in the red, is made up of cartilage, and this forms a whole nose. So nose, we have bridge here, and this part is made up of the pliable cartilage. Tip of nose is called apex. This is called apex. This is the root part of the nose. And this is called the apex of the nose. And nostrils is separated by nasal septum. There is a septum between two nostrils. See, one nostril is this side and the other nostril is on the another side, and there is a septum. Let's see in this diagram. This type of structure is present. This is the ala of nose laterally, and this is the aperture, nostrils, or what you call nares. And between the nares you have a septum. Between the nares is called nasal septum. This is called nasal septum. See, some people have a saddle nose. Actually, this bridge is depressed in those person. or that is widened. So when this part is depressed and will be widened, then the nose is saddle like, saddle nose. Okay. So after this region we have buccal region. See, buccal region overlies the buccinator muscle. This is the buccal region, and when you touch it, when you palpate it, you actually palpate the buccinator muscle. This region lies over the buccinator region. Then we have infraorbital region. Infraorbital name only represents or signify that it is the region which is below the orbital region. It corresponds to the upper part of the anterior surface of maxilla. Upper part of anterior surface. See, this is the maxilla. This bone is a maxilla 1 and 2. Two maxillary bone is there. And this region we have infraorbital region. And this infraorbital region corresponds to the upper part of the anterior surface of the maxilla. This corresponds to the upper anterior part of the anterior surface of the maxilla. And the structures present in the infraorbital region, very important structure called infraorbital foramen, and this is a very important for giving the infraorbital nerve block. After infraorbital, we will study about this zygomatic region. Zygomatic region overlies the zygomatic bone and zygomatic arch. This overlies the zygomatic bone. This is the zygomatic bone, and this part is the zygomatic arch. This is the zygomatic bone and zygomatic arch. And this zygomatic arch extends from just inferior to lateral margin of the eye. Inferior to, that is below lateral margin. This is the medial margin, this is lateral margin. Lateral margin of the, see, it extends from here, lateral margin of the eye towards the upper. See, this is the upper part of the, or upper portion of the auricle. So this zygomatic arch extends from just inferior to, which is inferior, that is below, inferior to lateral margin of the eye towards the upper, this is the upper part, upper margin, sorry, towards the upper portion of the auricle. So here you can feel the zygomatic arch in this region. And inferior to zygomatic arch and just anterior to the tragus, that is inferior to zygomatic arch, see this part, and just anterior to the tragus, this is the tragus, this part is tragus, and this part here you can palpate the zygomatic arch. And inferior to this part and anterior to tragus, here you can palpate the temporomandibular joint, that is here. Here you can palpate the temporomandibular joint, that is inferior to this zygomatic arch and anterior to this part, that is meatus, acoustic meatus. Okay. So here we got the idea about the zygomatic region. Now we will study about the oral region. We will study about the oral region. See, oral region, in this region, the first structure we notice are the lips. The first structure we notice are the lips. So let's make the frontal view of this. This is the nose, and this is the lips. Sorry, I think there is a shift, midline shift. So this is the lips. This is the philtrum part. Okay, and we have chin here. See, we have, now we will mark these structures. We will mark these structures and then we will study about those. This is called nasolabial sulcus. This is called nasolabial sulcus. Okay, and this is the labial. This is the chin part, chin, nose, and this is called ala of nose. Ala of nose. This part is called, here both side we have ala of nose. And lips has pinkish zone called vermilion zone. I don't have pink pen, so I will mark it with red. this pinkish zone is called vermilion zone. This is called the vermilion zone, and the outline of this vermilion zone is called vermilion border. At that border, that is this pink part and the part which is made up of skin, there is a border, there is a junction of those parts, that is called vermilion border. That is outline of this vermilion zone is called vermilion border. This is called vermilion zone. Vermilion zone outlined by vermilion border. Vermilion border. And at this border there is a junction of the skin part and the vermilion zone part. Small triangular median depression in the upper lip is called philtrum. This small triangular little depression is present here. This is called the philtrum. This is called the philtrum. Philtrum, it is the triangular depression, and you can see the apex of this philtrum is towards the nose and base is towards the lip. Base is towards the lip, and towards which part of the lip? Towards the tubercle of upper lip. Here you have tubercle of upper lip. Here we have tubercle of upper lip. Okay, and the corner of the mouth or the corner of the lip is called labial commissure. Labial commissure. Let's rub this because I don't have space to write. This is called labial commissure. Fine. This is called labial commissure, and there is a line between labial commissure and the ala of nose. There is a groove running upward between the labial commissure and the ala of nose. This is called nasolabial sulcus. This is called nasolabial sulcus. Both the side you can see that a groove is coming or running vertically from the ala of the nose, to the corner, that is labial commissure, and this line, this groove is called nasolabial, since it is connecting the nasal part and the labial part. So this sulcus, this groove is called nasolabial sulcus. This is called nasolabial sulcus. And we have a horizontal groove. Lower lip is separated from the chin by a horizontal groove called labiomental groove. Sorry, this is called labiomental groove. This is called labiomental groove. So we have nose. This is the ala of the nose. Here this is the philtrum. Philtrum's apex is towards the nose, base is towards the tubercle of upper lip. We have lip. The pink region is called vermilion zone, and the border or the outline of that vermilion zone at which there is a junction of the skin and the vermilion zone is called vermilion border. The lateral portion where the upper and lower lip meet is called labial commissure, and the sulcus or grooves which join the ala of the nose and the vermilion the labial commissure is called nasolabial sulcus, and this a horizontal groove which separates the lower lip from the chin is known as labiomental groove. Fine. This is the explanation of the oral region. If you want, you can mark these in your notebook or in whatever books you are studying. After that, we will study about some bony landmarks which are found in the region of the head. Although we have studied many bony landmarks, but still we will sum up all the bony landmarks which we have to study. So let's start all the bony landmarks. First is mental protuberance. First is mental protuberance. It is protuberance of the chin. Here, this is the mental protuberance. When you touch here, you will feel the mental protuberance, that is protuberance of the chin part. Then we studied about the nasion. The deepest portion or the depression which you can feel here in this part is the nasion. in this there is a frontonasal suture, that is here you can see the frontal bone and this is the nasal bone. So at this point we have frontonasal suture, frontal bone, nasal bone, and this suture is called frontonasal suture, and at this point we have nasion, and after this nasion we have glabella. Here same we have glabella above that nasion, because nasion is at the root of the nose and glabella is little above this or superior to the nasion. And then we have vertex. This point is the vertex. Vertex. What is vertex? It is the highest point on the top of the head in the midline. Sorry, vertex is the highest point on the top of the head. Here when you put this like this, this is the vertex is the highest point on the top of the head in the midline at this region. Okay. After vertex, we'll know about the external occipital protuberance. We already studied about the external occipital protuberance here in this part. This part is the external occipital protuberance. Then gonion, this angle of mandible, angle of mandible is known as gonion. Then head of the mandible, where you can palpate the head of the mandible. Head of the mandible can be palpated, that is can be checked in front of the lower part of the tragus. See, this is the tragus part, triangular part is the tragus part. In front of the lower part of the tragus, here, see, this is the tragus part. When you touch here, you are actually feeling the head of the mandible. Then we have preauricular point in front of upper part of the tragus. See, this is the tragus. This is the lower part of the tragus. This is the upper part of the tragus. This upper part of the tragus is called preauricular region, and lower part of the, when you touch the anterior portion of the lower part of the tragus, then you are actually touching the head of the mandible, palpating the head of the mandible. We have mastoid process, that is behind the lower part of auricle. Here, lower part of auricle, you can see this protuberance. This is actually the mastoid which is present behind the lower part. Here we have auricle, and when you feel here, when you touch your, when you move your finger here, that is behind the auricle, you can feel a light eminence, small eminence is there, that is called mastoid process. Other structure is pterion, about which we studied. It is the junction of temporal, frontal, temporal, parietal and frontal bone. And we have one more structure called asterion. We have one more structure called asterion. Asterion is the junction of parietal bone, temporal bone and occipital bone. Asterion is the junction of or confluence of the temporal, occipital and parietal bone. It is found in the posterior lateral surface of the skull. See, posterior means at the back and laterally on the side. Here, there we have a depression which is 2.5 centimeter behind the upper part of the root of ear. Upper part of the root of the ear. Here we may have the upper part of the root of ear, and 2.5 centimeter behind this upper part of the root of the ear we have a small slight depression, and that depression is the asterion. As asterion, there is a confluence of temporal, occipital and parietal bone, and this here we have pterion. This part is pterion. We have frontal, this parietal, their temporal and sphenoid bone meet. We studied about the supraorbital notch. This is also the anatomical bony landmarks. The frontal eminence, here you can feel the frontal eminence. Then parietal eminence, here we have parietal eminence in the parietal bone. Then here we complete all the bony landmarks, almost all the bony landmarks which are, or important bony landmarks which are present in the skull region or the head region.